Friends, we can all see that many white bloggers have millions of followers. Please support me too, because my followers are still few. Black bloggers also deserve to be famous. My friends, let's unite and lift each other up. Please press subscribe button and like. On a frigid Christmas night in Detroit, a sudden blizzard blanketed the city. Kesha Williams, a single mother struggling to make ends meet, sat in her small, dilapidated diner, her 2-year-old son Marcus shivering in the corner. The heater had broken, and the flickering candles barely illuminated the room. Just as despair threatened to engulf her, a loud knock echoed to the diner. When she opened the door, she was met by a group of 25 rugged bikers, their leather jackets emblazoned with the insignia of the Hells Angels. They were desperate for shelter from the storm. Fear gripped Kesha, but her heart swelled with compassion. "Come in," she said, her voice trembling as the bikers filed in. The atmosphere shifted. They helped her cook, sharing stories and laughter that warmed the cold, lonely diner. Kesha felt a flicker of hope for the first time in months. Little did she know, this act of kindness would set off a chain reaction that would change her life and her community forever. 3 days later, the storm had passed, but Kesha's troubles were far from over. She had lost her job at the diner due to complaints about Marcus crying during her shifts. With only $7.32 left to her name, she felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. The bills piled high, and the fridge was nearly empty. Desperate, Kesha remembered her mother's secret fried chicken recipe, a blend of spices passed down through generations. She decided to take a leap of faith and turn her home into a makeshift restaurant. Mama Kesha's Kitchen. With her last few dollars, she bought chicken and basic ingredients, hoping to attract customers. But as the hours passed, Kesha watched people walk by her window, some stopping to read her handwritten menu, only to quicken their pace when they saw her face. The sting of rejection was palpable. Mrs. Henderson, her neighbor, even turned her away with disdain, calling her a single mother with trouble written all over her. Kesha felt defeated, but she refused to give up. She continued to cook, pouring her heart into every dish. Just as she was about to lose hope, the phone rang. It was a bill collector, but she let go to voicemail. That night, as she sat in her cold kitchen, Kesha heard a sound that made her heart race. Motorcycle engines roaring in the distance. The sound grew louder, and soon 1,500 motorcycles lined the street outside her home. The Hells Angels had returned, but this time they weren't alone. Mike, the leader of the group, dismounted and approached her door. "Kesha," he called out, his voice booming yet warm. "We need to talk." Kesha stepped outside, her heart pounding. The bikers had come to support her, bringing food, supplies, and a community of people who believed in her. They transformed her small diner into a bustling restaurant, working tirelessly to renovate the space. As the sun set, the neighborhood came alive. Neighbors who had once ignored Kesha now gathered to witness the transformation. Mrs. Henderson stood at the edge of the crowd, her expression shifting from skepticism to awe. "Why are you doing this?" Kesha asked Mike, overwhelmed by their generosity. "Because you showed us what family means," he replied. "You opened your door to us when no one else would. Now, we're here to return the favor." The grand opening of Mama Kesha's Kitchen was a celebration of community and kindness. The restaurant buzzed with laughter and chatter as people from all walks of life came together to enjoy Kesha's cooking. The walls were adorned with photos of that fateful night, a reminder how a simple act of compassion could ripple through a community as the weeks turned into months. Kesha's diner became a beloved fixture in the neighborhood. The Hells Angels continued to visit, not just as customers, but as friends. They organized charity events, helping those in need and fostering a sense of belonging among the residents of Maple Street Point. One day, as Kesha was preparing for the lunch rush, she noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was Martha, an elderly woman who had once lived down the street. Martha approached Kesha with tears in her eyes. "I've been watching you," she said. "You've changed this neighborhood. You brought us all together." Kesha smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "It's not just me. It's all of us. We're community now." As the seasons changed, so did the dynamics of Maple Street. The once divided neighborhood transformed into a vibrant community where kindness flourished. Children played together. Families shared meals, and the bonds of friendship grew stronger. Kesha often reflected on that snowy night when she had opened her door to the bikers. It had been a leap of faith, one that had led to a life filled with love, laughter, and a sense of belonging. One evening, as she closed up the restaurant, Kesha stood on her porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. Marcus, now a lively toddler, played with his new friends in the yard. "Are we happy now, Mama?" he asked, looking up at her with innocent eyes. Kesha knelt down, wrapping her arms around him. "Yes, baby, we're very happy." In that moment, she realized that kindness had the power to change lives, to heal wounds, and to create a family where none had existed before. The story of Mama Kesha's Kitchen was not just about food. It was about the strength of community, the importance of compassion, and the magic that happens when we choose to open our hearts to others. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Kesha knew that tomorrow would bring new opportunities to spread kindness, to nurture her community, and to remind everyone that sometimes the most unexpected connections can lead to the greatest transformations. But just as she was about to turn in for the night, a loud rumble echoed through the street. Kesha's heart raced as she recognized the sound of motorcycles approaching once more. She stepped outside, her breath catching in her throat as she saw the familiar figures of the Hells Angels riding toward her, their headlights cutting through the darkness like beacons of hope. "Mike!" she called out, her voice filled with excitement and curiosity. "What's going on?" As the bikers dismounted, Mike stepped forward, a serious expression on his face. "Kesha, we need to talk. There's something important we want to do for you and the community." Kesha's heart raced with anticipation. What could they possibly have planned this time? "Gather everyone," Mike continued, glancing around at the neighbors who had begun to emerge from their homes, drawn by the sound of the motorcycles. "We're about to make a big announcement." Kesha felt a thrill of excitement as she called out to her neighbors, urging them to come closer. The air was thick with anticipation as the community gathered, their faces illuminated by the glow of the motorcycle headlights. Mike cleared his throat, his voice steady and commanding. "We've seen what you've done for each other, how you've come together as a community, and we want to help you take it even further." Kesha's heart raced as she exchanged glances with her neighbors. What could this mean? "We're going to organize a charity ride," Mike announced, his eyes shining with determination. "We'll raise funds to support local families in need, to help those who are struggling just like you once were. And we want you to be at the center of it all." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Kesha felt tears of joy welling in her eyes. This was more than she had ever dreamed of. As the bikers began to discuss the details, Kesha realized that this was just the beginning. The kindness that had started with a simple act of compassion was now blossoming into something much larger, something that would change the lives of many. And just as she was about to step forward to express her gratitude, she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Martha, her eyes filled with pride. "You see, Kesha, this is what happens when you open your heart. You've created a ripple effect that will touch so many lives." Kesha nodded, overwhelmed by the love and support surrounding her. She knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, kindness, and the promise of a brighter future for everyone in their community. As the night wore on, plans were made and excitement filled the air. Kesha felt a sense of belonging that she had never experienced before. She was no longer just a single mother struggling to survive. She was a vital part of a community that had come together to support one another. And as the stars twinkled above, Kesha knew that the kindness she had shown that fateful night had come full circle, igniting a flame of compassion that would burn brightly for years to come. But just as the meeting was about to conclude, a loud roar interrupted the gathering. A motorcycle, larger and more imposing than the rest, pulled up to the front. The crowd fell silent, eyes wide with curiosity and anticipation. Kesha's heart raced as she recognized the rider. It was a figure she had never expected to see again. "Jerome," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The man who had once walked out on her and their son now stood before her, his expression unreadable. The crowd parted as he approached, and Kesha felt a mix of emotions swirling within her. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice low and hesitant. Kesha's breath caught in her throat. This was the moment she had both dreaded and hoped for. Would he finally take responsibility? Would he acknowledge the life they had built without him? As the crowd watched in silence, Kesha felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had come so far, and now, standing at this crossroads, she had to decide how to respond. Would she open her heart to a man who had once abandoned her, or would she stand firm in the strength she had found within herself and her community? The air was thick with tension as Kesha took a deep breath, preparing to face the past and embrace the future. And just as she was about to speak, the roar of motorcycles filled the air once more, drowning out her thoughts and reminding her of the family she had created to end that moment. Kesha realized that no matter what happened next, she was no longer alone. She had a community behind her, a family forged through kindness, and the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead as the night unfolded. Kesha knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future for everyone in their community. And with that thought, she stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever came next. Do you want to know the fate of the heroes? Please post part 2. Subscribe to the channel and continue watching. Your opinion and support are important to me. Leave it in the comments. Thank you.